my question is, I'm looking at the report from the probation officer, and the officer says that one statement was from the offender where he admitted to possessing the firearm and failing to remove the firearm from inside the bedroom. The second statement was from the offender's living girlfriend who admitted to knowing the firearm was inside her apartment. The third statement was from the offender relative who admitted to owning the firearm and allowing the offender to keep it at his residence. So for us to believe the offender, we got to believe that the probation officer was lying. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you want to try to clear it up, please, sir?
Yes, I do. Obviously, there's no way to convince you that the parole officer is lying. Instead, I would like to add more context.
Not every day the attorney starts with, there's no way to convince you that the parole officer is not lying. And in other words, the parole officer is surely lying. Is this attorney going to be able to pull it off? He's trying to protect his client from getting his parole revoked. We'll jump in and unpack it at the end.
Hey, good morning, August. How are you?
How you doing?
Good. I think
I can't hear you. Okay. It is now 10:57. We are back at Orleans Parish Prison. Today with me on the board is Mr. Tillis to my right, Mr. Barrott to my left. Today we will be doing a revocation hearing on August Navarre. Okay. August, the way this is gonna go is that Mr. Who has this case? Mr. Tillis has the case, so he'll lead the question. I am gonna go over some preliminary information with you. I'm gonna go over your violations, and you can plead not guilty with a statement, or guilty and guilty with a statement. Okay, do you understand how you can plead? Yes, sir. Okay, and just wait, just make your plea, because we're gonna let you explain each thing as when Mr. Tillis starts questioning you, okay? Yes, sir. Okay, give me your name and DOC number.
My name is August Navarre. My DOC number is 746-440.
Okay. Okay, and also today we have here who wishes to speak, Jacob McCarty, his attorney, Mr. McCarty, okay, and Zanelle Hall, your mother. Okay, so both of them speak. They'll speak at the appropriate time. Mr. McCarty, I'm sure you'd like to go last. Is that correct?
actually, I'd like to go first, if at all possible, to help frame the discussion.
Okay, all right, well, let me read. Okay, when it comes to y'all, I'll let you go first. So let's go on what you're hearing. Okay, August, it is alleged that on 7/31/2023, you were arrested for possession of a firearm by your probation officer. How do you plead to that charge?
Not guilty.
Guilty?
Not guilty.
Not guilty, okay. Okay, and that charge was null prost on 3/19/24. On 7/31/23, Agent Gawar learned that you had recently ingested heroin and fentanyl. When personally asked, you admitted to using opiates and fentanyl to the intake deputy and nurse at the Orleans Parish Justice Center. How do you plead to that charge?
Not guilty.
All right. Also on that same date, you willingly harbored a juvenile. How do you plead to that charge?
Not guilty.
Okay. And We already, and then the condition number 5, once again, is gonna be the firearm. Okay, so Mr. Tillis, will you begin the question?
Yeah, good morning, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing today, sir?
Good. Mr. August, how long have you been incarcerated?
I've been incarcerated going on now probably like 11 months.
That's,
7/31 to now, 7/31/24 to now.
this is the first time you've been incarcerated?
Since being on parole, yes,
How long were you incarcerated before you got paroled?
3 years.
3 years? Did you take any training while you were there, the 3 years prior?
Yes, sir.
What kind of training did you get?
I got a certification in carpentry, and I got I forgot. I think it's like I ain't finished the welding class though, because I got shipped to another facility, but I got the other one, the carpentry.
It appears maybe you might have a drug problem. Did you take any,
Yeah, I took, since I've been incarcerated now, I graduated from Metropolitan. I got the certificate right here. I graduated from Metropolitan while being incarcerated right now. It's like a drug rehab, anger management class. You know, I completed that since being in jail right now.
I see. What kind of educational training you have? You finished high school?
GED?
Yeah,
Yeah, I got my GED.
but you got your GED? Okay, tell me about the gun problem that you had. What-
I come home from jail, really, you know, I got out June 10th, 23, and I really didn't have nowhere to go. So I really used the resources of being with my baby mother, my child mother, you know, knowing that I just wanted to cooperate with being on parole, not being a scoundrel or being in places where I couldn't, you know, be. So I just used what I had, the only resource I had, you know, knowing that it probably wasn't healthy for me, but it's all I had to go off of at the time, you know, and just being in the wrong, I'm guilty of being in the wrong place at the wrong time and associating with the wrong people. But, you know, anything else as far as like possession of a firearm, not guilty of that. But, you know, hanging around the wrong people and choosing the wrong people, yeah, I'm guilty of that. But I only did that because I didn't have nowhere else to go. And I was really trying to do my best on parole, and I just did 3 years flat, not just come home.
Okay, who did the gun belong to?
It belonged to my mother-in-law, which is my girl mother.
Okay, so it wasn't your gun.
No,
Did you know it was there?
no, sir.
You didn't know it was there?
No, sir.
Were you working?
In the process of working, not really, but, you know, doing all jobs, you know, here and there, you know, just, you know, trying to get my ground, you know, to walk on, but I was only home 45 days.
And you didn't do any drugs while you were there?
No, sir.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have no more questions.
Okay, I have a couple questions. Firstly, with the juvenile, you was in Waveland, Mississippi?
No, I wasn't in Waveland, Mississippi. My niece, she ran to Slidell, Louisiana, which is, you know, where my family is originally from. You know, I'm not from New Orleans. I was just staying in New Orleans because that was my only resource to where I could stay at. I'm originally from Slidell, Louisiana. She ran to Slidell, you know, away from my mom now, and me being her uncle, only thing I was trying to do was make sure she was safe. You know, I've been in the streets. I know how the streets are. And she called me in need, and I went and got her. But if I knew she was, you know, my mom knew that she was with me, that's how they knew what she was. I told my mom because she was worried about her. You know, she was very worried about her, so I had to let my mom know that she's safe, she with me. And, you know, when she ready to go, we can come get her. But it turned out to a whole nother scenario.
Who arrested you?
Who arrested me? My parole officer arrested me.
All right, and you say absolutely you didn't have a gun. It appears that didn't a cousin of yours give you a gun when you came home? for your safety or something and put it in the bedroom?
No, sir.
So they got 3 witnesses say you had a gun and you gonna sit here and tell me you didn't?
They had 3 witnesses that I had a gun.
Witnesses said you had a gun.
Oh, listen, I never had a gun. My mother-in-law stated in the affidavit that I never had a gun, that I never possessed a gun.
Okay, I have no further questions.
I'd like to ask another question.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Tillers.
In the record, it says you admitted to using heroin with your live-in girlfriend. Is that true?
No, it's not true. No, that's not true.
Okay, all right.
I think that I could clear up some confusion if I could be heard now.
Okay, go ahead. Well, let Mr. Barrow ask his question, because you might have more confusion.
Certainly. There very well might be.
My question is, I'm looking at the report from the probation officer, and the officer says that one statement was from the offender where he admitted to possessing the firearm and failing to remove the firearm from inside the bedroom. The second statement was from the offender's living girlfriend, who admitted to knowing the firearm was inside her apartment. The third statement was from the offender relative, who admitted to owning the firearm and allowing the offender to keep it at his residence. So for us to believe the offender, we got to believe that the probation officer was lying. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you want to try to clear it up, please, sir?
Yes, I do. Obviously, there's no way to convince you that the parole officer is lying. Instead, I would like to add more context to what happened. Although Officer Gerard is putting it that way, it's not telling the full story. August's girlfriend, Zanelli, who made every effort to be here, I thought that she was going to be on the Zoom. I think there was some issue with registration this morning, but Zanelli's mother, her car was in an accident and she had some of her personal property in that car. The mother called Zanelli and said, "Hey, please come get my things from my car. I'm dealing with the car. I will come get the stuff from you when I'm done." Among those things was the firearm. That firearm was inside of August's house where he and Zanelli both reside. It was in a closet. August never possessed that gun. He never had that gun on him. Agent Gerard saw it inside of the closet when he was in the house, but it's undisputed that is not August's gun. He's never been accused of using it, and he's never possessed it. Zanelli took custody of it. Zanelli, I'm sorry, not Zanelli. Kenise has been her name this whole time. Zanelli is his mother. That's my apology. And Kenise is now on the Zoom, fortunately. Kenise took that gun into the home, and Kenise repeatedly asked her mother to come get the gun. August knows that he cannot be around guns. August knows that as a condition of his parole, he cannot be around a firearm. Because he's a felon, he cannot possess a gun. He knows that he is held to a higher standard than us ordinary people, and that gun should not have been in the house. That is why Kenise was repeatedly asking her mother to come get the gun. Ultimately, mom did not come and get it by the time Agent Gerard came into the home. That's unfortunate, but Mr. Navarre has been in jail since July 31st, 2023 for a gun that he never had, all because Kenise and August were trying to help out Kenise's mom. As to the juvenile stuff, that is why his mother, Mrs. Zanelli, is here on the Zoom. That juvenile ran away from home of her own accord. That child lives with Zanelli. She has some problems, or she has had problems in the past. She's actually been doing really great recently, but she ran away from home of her own accord. She did not communicate to August beforehand. August had no knowledge that she was running away from home. When she got to Slidell, she called August because that's the only person that she knows in Louisiana and said, "Please come get me, I'm in Slidell." August did the right thing. He went and got a juvenile who had run away from home and picked her up from Slidell and took her to his home in New Orleans. August then immediately called his mom, Zanelli, who is that juvenile's caretaker, and informed Zanelli where that child was. Zanelli then immediately contacted Agent Gerard so that Agent Gerard would know where that child was too. That's how Agent Gerard and NOPD even ended up in the home, because August all along was doing the right thing. As for the drug stuff, the questions that August was being asked was, has he ever used drugs? And he was being truthful when he answered them. Yes, he's used drugs in the past, and he had used them with his girlfriend. While he has been in custody, he just reported to you that he finished a drug rehab program. He had not recently, as in like since he had been out, used drugs. The questions that he was responding to when he was booked at the jail was, have you ever used drugs? It was not, did you just use drugs? And so what we're asking for today is a reprimand and a release. Mr. Navarre has been in continuous custody for nearly a year now over what is essentially a string of misunderstandings. That runaway child was not running away to come to August. August helped her out when she got away. That gun was not his. It was Kanisa's mom, and Kanisa's mom should have come to get it. And August knows he cannot be around guns. They made I'm sorry.
He needed to get rid of it.
Yes, and they made every effort to do it. It is extremely unfortunate that Kanisa's mom never came and picked up that gun. If she had, we certainly wouldn't be in this pickle today. And as for the substance abuse stuff, Mr. Navarre owns and accepts that he has a substance abuse problem. That is why he has obtained treatment while he has been in jail. But he has not recently ingested any drugs. I mean, certainly not now. He's been in jail since last July. But when he was answering those questions, they weren't questions about, did you just take drugs? He was being asked if he had ever taken drugs, and he was being honest. Yes, he has used drugs in the past. He does not now, and he is actively seeking treatment, and he is in recovery. And so given all of that, we would ask that you reprimand him and release him. And if you have any more questions about that, his mother Zanelli and his girlfriend Kenise are here and happy to talk with you.
Okay, Miss Zanelle Hall, his mother, would you like to speak?
Yes, my name is Zanelle Hall. I am his mother. He is my baby out of 5 kids. The kidnapping charge, he did call me and let me know they were looking for her here, because she got in a little trouble up here, and she went to him. He didn't know she ran away. He immediately called me and told me, Mama, don't worry about her. She's here with me. And I said, I got to get her back here so she can straighten out what's going on here. And I knew about her being there. He did tell me. I did speak with her there. Out of all this, unfortunately, my son has got trapped up in this, and she's doing well. She's graduating this Saturday from Camp Shelby. So I just want him to be home here with me now so I can help get August on his feet. We have 2 businesses here, and I would love for August to come home and let me be a part of his life to get him back on the right road.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We don't have her down, but does this other lady wish to speak?
Well, Kenise appears to have been kicked off of the Zoom or fallen off. She was just here. Let me text her.
Okay, well, we're gonna move on from right now and try to text her and see if she can get in before we're done. Okay, Mr. Navarre, what would you like to tell the board before we vote?
I really just want another chance at society. I spent a whole year in jail. You know, I refrained from the people I used to talk to, even while being incarcerated. You know, my kids need me, my sons need me, you know, and I just want another chance. That's it. I just really want another chance.
Okay, all right, Mr. Navarre, thank you. Is the panel ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Tillis, it was assigned to you. You will be voting first.
I'm gonna believe this story that we're hearing. My vote is to grant,
Okay, your vote is not to revoke.
not to revoke. I'm sorry, not to
Yeah.
revoke.
Okay, Danny? Mr. Byron, I'm sorry.
Well, I too believe the story somewhat, but that's the problem. You knew that there was a firearm in the house. You knew that it was a violation. You're on for a charge that is illegal possession of a firearm and carrying a firearm by felon already. I got a problem with it. I'm gonna have to vote to revoke based on the fact that you knew it, based on the fact that everybody there knew it was in the house and it was a violation. What should have been done was about, you should have had your girlfriend take it out of there. So based on the prior conviction and everybody knew that there was a firearm in that house, I can't grant parole on that. I mean, I can't reinstate you.
You know, I look at it a lot, but that is the key. I mean, there was a firearm there. Your girlfriend could have got it out. Your mother-in-law could have got it. Anybody should have got it out. You should have left that house if you knew there was a firearm. I'm not letting my officers go into a house that we know they got a firearm and he knows he shouldn't have it. And I just can't get over that fact. So my vote today is to revoke. That's the end of the hearing. We'll move on to the next.
Wow. Okay, so he was denied. And first, I gotta say, I gotta give that attorney a lot of props. I think we might have seen him before. He looks familiar. He actually did the best job that he could have done. I mean, he convinced one parole board member, and then the other parole board members actually said, you know what, I might believe those stories. But I mean, when you have a client that's coming in with a kidnapping charge of a juvenile, on a charge for doing narcotics and a charge for having a weapon, and you can actually get one board member to grant, I mean, not revoke. You know, Chucky Tillis, the preacher, that we call him because he was Angola's preacher, not good feelings about him in all the parole hearings that we've seen so far. Cajun Overcomer, who is our native expert from Louisiana, mentioned, she has her own channel. Check it out if you haven't already, where she covers exclusively like Louisiana. That in an interview of the board members, Chucky Tillis, when describing his career, didn't even mention being Angola's preacher. It was just about being in real estate. So that was, I'm not a fan. Really not. It's what's it even mean? So you have, if you believe the story, a juvenile runs away from home, calls him for some reason. He picks her up, and then they claim, oh well, he right away went and told him, and I have a hard time believing that story. And then, really clever with the narcotics. I mean, classic attorney moves, give the attorney credit. When he was asked the questions, he thought he was asked, did he ever use it? That's just great. And then you're stuck with the weapon. And, I think the way Mr. Pete Freeman and his buddy, will look at his bio real quick. I don't know if we need to look at it. Danny Barris. Maybe we'll look at it real quick. We haven't really seen a lot of him, and I don't know the last time I went over his profile, but he's like a Pete Freeman in the sense that, in the sense of his career. So he was a parole supervisor for 37 and a half years at probation and parole. He began his career in 1986 when he was a field agent. He worked as a specialist and supervisor until his retirement in 2018. He also served as vice president, sergeant at arms board member. I don't know what that is. What's that mean? Sergeant at Arms, boards member, and legislative liaison at Louisiana Probation and Parole Office Association. Mr. Barris, also a University of Southwestern Louisiana alumni, receiving his BA in business management. Interesting that you would get a BA in business management and then become a parole officer. I don't know. Is that how it works? I would think not. Here's my favorite Carol. And we have Chucky Tillis. where again it says that he served in the oil field plant and maintenance Inc. for 15 years. And then again, it dedicated prison ministry, but we've never really seen anything in his talking style, we have seen nothing that reflects being in prison ministry in Angola. Then we have Mr. Freeman, who's now the veteran, really, and you could see he's built a lot of confidence. If you remember from the older hearings, he was a lot more timid. Now he kind of sits there like the boss. So he was director of probation and parole. So he was the boss of probation and parole, but it took him a little while to settle in, I think, to his role in Louisiana parole hearings. And he has his moments. He's up and down. Sometimes he surprises me with the mic drop. If you've seen enough hearings, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it was an interesting hearing. I don't know how much time he's backing. We don't have any information on this case. Richard did call out this hearing. He said, "Mandu, you didn't record it. You should record it." And I thank you for that, because it certainly is interesting. But we don't have any. I don't know how much time he's backing. I don't even know what his initial crime was, but there you have it. And there you have it. So with that, also do want to make a shout out, right? And Richard pointed this out, and Carol reminded me, we have our first 1 million view parole hearing on this channel. Can you believe it? We have our first 1 million view. It's about the man who received a life sentence for breaking into cars. Now, it's a very sketchy case, because he was given something like a 12-year sentence, and then as soon as that sentence expired, the DA came in and got him on an habitual offender charge. So he wasn't slapped with the habitual offender when he was initially prosecuted. No, this came over a decade later. Super sketchy. And I'm proud that over 1 million people were able to see really the corruption of what it was that happened to that man. He had no violent offenses. He had no sex offenses. He had a substance abuse problem. He broke into a car. No one was in the car, and the next thing you know, he got a life sentence. They ended up fixing the problem 13 years or so too late. But yes, our first 1 million view hearing. If you somehow haven't seen it yet, I'm going to put a link in this description below, and also have it pop up here. I got it right. And with that, I'll let you go.
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead. We'd like to hear what you want to say.
Okay. Wayne has a long documented history of violence. This began far before me. He spent 10 years for armed robbery, was released, and immediately reoffended. He went back to prison for 18 months for sexual assault, none of which has to do with me, was released and immediately reoffended multiple times. He was able to reoffend multiple times because the system failed. Wayne strangled me. My air supply was cut off, and he promised, and I quote, to kill me one day. While incarcerated this time, he violated the protective order yet again. I have in my possession documents that he mailed not only to me, but to my 14-year-old daughter. If he violates in custody, he will most definitely violate outside. He himself just testified to you that he's not able to think clearly when he's in his emotions. That should tell you right there that he will re-violate, and I'm asking the system not to fail my family again.
Boom! That's the mic drop that the survivor just dropped on his parole hearing. We're about to watch as this man is facing 5-year habitual offender specifically for DV. Now, we're going to watch the hearing and then unpack it at the end. Keep an eye on when we're about to jump in as to his face, what it looks like when he sees that she is waiting at the other end of the screen. It's priceless. With that, let's go.
Wayne Parker, your DOC number is 418686. You're classified as a fifth felony offender. You're currently serving a 5-year sentence, having been convicted in as a habitual offender for domestic abuse battery. You received a 5-year sentence in March of 2022. Also, in March of 2022, another count of domestic abuse battery for which you received a 1-year sentence. All that's running concurrently, so a total of 5 years. Your parole eligibility date was February 4th of this year. You do not earn good time, so your full term date is the 5th, 2026. That information is correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Your case has been assigned to Mr. Freeman, seated to my right. We can answer this question.
Okay, Mr. Carter, how old are you?
I am 42.
What's your educational level?
I have 2 years college.
Okay. Mr. Carter, you've committed domestic abuse battery twice. Is it on the same young lady?
Yes, it was my wife.
Okay. The first time, according to the statement, you committed it, you choked your wife, had red marks around her neck, and you did this in front of the children. Tell me about that incident. What happened right there?
That was the allegations, but me and her had a physical argument where we were both involved. You know, it was started verbally, and then it got physically. And so that was the allegations of the matter.
Were your kids there?
Excuse me?
Were children present?
There were children upstairs at the moment.
Why didn't you leave?
Excuse me?
Why didn't you just leave?
I mean, we both was just in the moment, emotions. You know, when emotions get into play, sometimes, we can't rationalize, we can't think properly. So that would have been the best bet to do, rather than trying to both force our way, to be heard or to resolve the matter that we was arguing about.
Okay. On the second occasion, you violated a protective order. Is that true?
We did have a protective order. She had got a protective order so she can gain full residency of my home. Yes.
And the sheriff's office said they observed bruising on her face, arms, jaw. She had you on tape. And tell me what happened in that offense.
Me and her went out to a dinner date, came home, we was both, she was drunk, I had a drink. And I actually, at this moment, I actually went to leave. In the process of leaving, she came swinging on me personally. There was physical violence. I kind of blocked myself, but then we just got into the scuffle. It just started. It's just a bad night where we both just got in a physical altercation.
Right. I mean, that's not good.
No, it isn't.
Yeah. Okay, I see where you were in the ship chat program before this time. Did you relapse? Why are you trying to go back through the program?
I will say it again. I'm sorry.
Okay, it looks like you went through our drug rehabilitation program.
I've never.
Never. This is your first time.
My first time doing Shy Shack. I've been sober 18 years. I haven't used drugs in 18 years. And we became social drinkers. We go out, we have dinner dates. Me and my wife still, was married 2.5 years. I still brought her out on dates regular, weekly, and we just developed, the habit where we socially drank. And so before it's drug addiction, man, God set me free in 2005, 18 years ago from drug addiction. I have not picked up a drug since 2005.
Alcohol is considered a drug.
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. Okay, and, you know, social drinking, if you consider yourself a drug addict, social drinking should not be allowed.
I
You
agree.
can't do it. Quit, you gotta quit.
Correct.
Okay, I'm looking at your supervision record. It's not really good. I mean, in 4/21/99, you pled to misdemeanor possession of marijuana. You was on house probation. Later, you picked up another marijuana charge and you tested positive and you were revoked. Later in 99, in October, you pled to second offense marijuana, simple burglary, 2 counts. And you were sentenced to 3 years on each charge, all suspended, placed on 2 years probation. The burglaries were car burglary. An attachment was filed. You failed to appear in court for payment of fines and court costs. You were arrested and returned to probation. And then you were later revoked with the original sentence on 3/26/2001, and you had some new felony charges pending. Your third one was in 4/4/2003. That must have been the charges that probably got you revoked. You were released on parole. You committed new crime, and you were charged with armed robbery. You deferred your hearing, and you were revoked. Now, these charges look like they're still pending in Jefferson. Are those charges still pending in Jefferson?
Oh, no, sir. All that is totally completed.
Okay, Warden, do you know if they've been completed? Do y'all have any detainers on him?
Yes, sir, I can look those up. I'm right back.
Okay. We're gonna continue. You were released again on 10/19/2015. You robbed a Circle K while you was on supervision and you got revoked. Then during your next parole supervision, you were charged with sexual battery. Deferred your preliminary hearing, and on 2018, you were revoked. The sexual battery involved a woman known to Mr. Porter. So actually, you knew this lady. Tell me what happened here.
So I stopped at a lifelong friend's birthday party that I grew up with right next door to me, and for a birthday gathering, and a female actually came on to me, sat down next to me while I was at the party, and put her hand like direct on my private part. And so I got up and left. That was it. That was it to the story. My wife was contacted the night before, the night after. And then like a week later, I'm headed to work, and I get pulled over by US Marshals while I'm headed to work. And US Marshals tell me I have a warrant out for my arrest for sexual battery. I went to court on the matter, was going to court on the matter. The girl, she filed a report and left the state because she didn't want to, I don't know what was her thinking. I guess she didn't want to, continue with it. But yeah, she filed a police report on me and left the state. And so I went through the matter, was trying to fight it. Jefferson Parish did not want to drop the charge at all. I mean, my parish is big about conviction rate. Rather than dropping the charge on me because the victim don't want to come to court and stand and be in court. They dropped the charge down and just had me cop out because I would have credit for time served to go straight home. So, I mean, honestly, God honest truth, I mean, nobody knows the truth between, this incident but me, her, and God himself. And so I did not violate this woman by no means. I was totally innocent in this matter. Totally innocent.
Did you pled to the charge? You pled.
Because I had credit, because I had enough time served what they did, instead of dropping the charge, they just got the conviction and dropped the charge down to obscenity, made me cop out to the charge so I can go home. That's what happened.
Okay. Looks like you released on good time from that, and it expired on 12/2018.
Yes.
But then again, you pled guilty to obscenity on 2/28/19.
No, sir, that's the same incident. So the sexual battery charge was dropped down to obscenity.
Obscenity. Okay.
Yeah. Beat it out to obscenity. So I had the option because they didn't want to drop the charge down. They didn't want to drop the charge on me. So rather than just sitting in jail, I mean, I know it's like I was in a catch-22, but you know, I had my elderly father at home at all times. No one there to take care of him. I had all, you know, that was really my main responsibility. So
right.
I made the best decision that was best for me and my father. I pleaded out to the obscenity and went home and preached my dad's funeral 3 months later. That's what happened.
Okay. All right. The district attorney, Wayne Montgomery, is opposed. The sheriff is opposed. Your brother never responded. So we didn't get an answer from him. The victim is obviously opposed. Let's see. You know, your criminal history is very, very poor, to say the least, with a lot of violence and a lot of sexual offenses. What is going to be your transition plan? If you get out, where you going to live, where you going to work?
So at the moment, so I am a barber. I was involved in the barber industry, very successful. So my ultimate goal is to continue back into the barber industry. I'm actually in the network with a group of barbers where we're going to begin to start do kind of barber school workshops. We have a team of barbers where we create different products, from 3D printers for clipper products. I'm actually, right before I was arrested, I was in the process of creating my own beard oil. So we're still dealing with like product lines for skincare and hair care. So that's like my ultimate purpose, man. I love it.
Where you gonna live?
Living situation is kind of complicated. All my family is deceased. My dad's house just got repoed because I was in jail. I have an older brother and older sister that wasn't taking care of their situation. So before I got married, I turned my dad's home, which would have been mine, but he still owed a little bit on it. So I turned it over to my niece to let my niece live on it. And I don't know the situation behind. So living situation is I've been connecting with the counselors and trying to do a sober living, maybe a celebrate recovery home or a sober living home, and just work my way and transition back into society.
I see you taking tons of classes, which is good.
Yes, sir.
What class you took that meant the most? What about the domestic violence program?
That is amazing. So I completed the domestic violence course with Ms. Mullins, and I continued in her class until I complete my share program. The domestic violence course is dynamic. Just the literature, just the curriculum that we're actually working with the 8 spokes, understanding the difference between coercion and threat, negotiation, fairness, and just all the information that's given. Man, there's a variety of I would say essential principles that I'm taking from each course. Whatever I can to, work on my character personally. That's been the number one. The first thing in the program, I believe that, you can't make a change unless you really, really, really see, that there are some things that need to be changed. And there are some character issues, the number one was shame. It's just owning my story and telling my story. Because shame hates when words are wrapped around it. So I think the number one is just, dealing with the things that get in the way of me being more productive. Relationships, honestly, I've served a lot of time in jail. I grew up pretty much in jail from 20, I went to jail on the armed robbery at 23, I came home when I was 35. So there's a lot of things that I can say that I haven't learned for the relationships, but I came home and I tried. And so, I think, the bravest thing I can do is just own my story and love myself in the process. That's the bravest thing I can do. And so there are a lot of principles that I'm taking from the program. The MRT class, where it deals with cognitive, behavior therapy, where it deals with our self-esteem and goal settings. Man, I set so many goals. I'm so proactive. And not just in the program, just the entire journey, period. I mean, everywhere I've stepped my hand, I've seen the hand of God just place someone around me that can benefit. I can benefit from, I can share with, I can open up to. We literally started a book club right here in the program with me and a couple guys. We invest in each other. We circulate books on business and economy, and books on mental health, emotional health, books on leadership. So there's the program I'm working. I'm getting what I need to get, but I'm also investing in myself also, mostly spiritually. When I came home in 2015 from the armed robbery, I came home, I got married, I didn't do drugs, I was totally committed to the church. I served next gen nonprofits. I'm an ordained minister, I'm licensed and married. I was involved in so many positive things. And so my goal once I got here was to see, okay, where did I go wrong? I was on a good path, I was doing the right things, until that I would just say that the pivotal point was when I was falsely accused by this woman. It totally destroyed my marriage. I was married before I was married to Dawn. It destroyed my marriage. It destroyed my ministry. I was very involved in ministry. I had a team just of pastors and leadership. I was very involved that was very helpful to me. And so I think that was the real pivotal point. That was the shaming process, I think, really began where it just really took on me. So
All right.
the program's been great.
Okay, well, you took a lot on them. You got a high risk and a high need. We don't see that often. Warden, do you have any comment regarding Mr. Porter?
No, sir, we have not had any issues here, and I did not find any holes in our system for you.
Mr. Carter, I just got a couple of questions, and then we'll hear from the folks that want to speak.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
heard you say you want to own your story. You want to tell the story.
Correct.
You hadn't done that today. When Mr. Freeman asked you about what happened in the domestic issue, you blamed the victim. And the record does not support what you said happened. In the first instance was January of 21. You said the kids were upstairs, when in fact the person who reported the incident was the 11-year-old, who said she saw you put your hands around her mother's neck. And there was evidence. That's different than trying to block a blow. Then later in November, you said y'all had been out to dinner, she had some drinks, you had a drink. When the record indicates, while there was a protective order, you entered the residence without permission, and you attacked her, held her down while she was in bed, strangled her, punched her in the face multiple times. There's evidence to show those injuries. So you're not telling us the truth. You also said when Mr. Freeman was asking you about another issue, You said they made you cop out when you pled guilty to something you didn't do. You said they made you cop
You're
out.
right, correct.
When you were referring to your father's house, which was repossessed, you blamed it on your brother and your sister. So everything that happens to you is somebody else's fault.
It's not that I'm not blaming anyone for my decisions or what I am in control of. That's not what I'm doing. I was just.
Okay, all right, I don't need your comments. I'm gonna ask for the comments from the folks who have joined us this morning. First, we'd like to hear from Dawn. You say him?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead, we'd like to hear what you want to say.
Okay. Wayne has a long documented history of violence. This began far before me. He spent 10 years for armed robbery, was released, and immediately reoffended. He went back to prison for 18 months for a sexual assault, none of which has to do with me, was released and immediately reoffended multiple times. He was able to reoffend multiple times because the system failed. Wayne strangled me. My air supply was cut off, and he promised, and I quote, to kill me one day. While incarcerated this time, he violated the protective order yet again. I have in my possession documents that he mailed not only to me, but to my 14-year-old daughter. If he violates in custody, he will most definitely violate outside. He himself just testified to you that he's not able to think clearly when he's in his emotions. That should tell you right there that he will re-violate, and I'm asking the system not to fail my family again. Please keep him in there.
You have the opportunity to make a brief statement if you'd like to before we vote. Is there anything you'd like to say before?
Yes, I am definitely remorseful. Every day, I struggle with my decisions, and I understand that there are some things that I do need to work on and do need to change. And I'm not trying to manipulate or hurt anybody. I'm not trying to intimidate her. I mean, she went her way. We divorced. She went her way. I went my way. And I understand that I can't change the past. I can't change anything that I've done. All I can do is work on my present moment and continue to try to just be better and do better. I apologize. I was not trying to come off as blaming anyone for my decisions. I really wasn't. I was just stating some facts and just explaining our overall situation to kind of give y'all, understanding of just some details and position. So, I apologize. I didn't mean to come off as blaming anyone for anything. I'm here because my choices, no one else's. And so I just want to go back home and do better. That's all I want to do.
All right. I think we're ready to vote.
Okay, Mr. Porter, you have done some good things while you've been in jail. You take a lot of classes. You're in real good programs right now.
Correct.
You're for high risk, you're a moderate needs, a high risk. You have a terrible prior record, criminal record and supervision record, very violent history. At this point, I just don't think you served enough time, and my vote would be to deny.
Mr. Rushback.
Mr. Porter, good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Porter, you have adamant victim opposition. The victim's family is adamantly opposed. The DA's office is strongly opposed. You have law enforcement opposition. You have a history of violence, poor supervision history, a high risk assessment, telling me that you're going to reoffend again. You have a moderate needs assessment, and you have a serious need for ongoing domestic violence treatment. You've taken the domestic violence program, but you need additional treatment for your violent nature. Based on all of these, I deem you a public safety risk, and I'm going to deny your parole.
To Mr. Potter, I do agree. My vote also is to deny for the reasons that have already been stated. So today, sir, your parole is denied. Goodbye to you.
Thank you.
So this hearing took place April 2023, and the time of this recording of June 25th, 2024. He's still incarcerated, thankfully so, and I wonder if we'll see him at another parole hearing. But how is that, Miss Renatza? Mic drop in the middle. Man, I mean, when she does know how to dish, when she does the dishing, and then we have a nice coup de grace by Mr. Roche there at the end. And of course, we have the survivor just, really take control. It takes, it's just the amount of authentic courage that we saw, I thought, in her standing up there and saying it, and also staring him down right at the beginning when he showed up and saw her, and then her kind of smile at the end was just the finishing touch that I needed. And I know it might have been a little, I think she was standing on a standing desk, she's working, it's kind of like she's saying like, I'm too busy for you, this isn't like, I'm not losing sleep over this. She's doing her job, she's working, she's going through the motions, but at but taking the time to tell the board the truth. And it was, I don't know, I thought that was very powerful. And, I know it could have been distracting. I tried to like move the screen a little so it would be less so, but just the idea that she laid down the law there. And, he's a big man. You saw him sit across his arms. He's got like the Mark McGuire biceps, and that's just got to be scary to think about the damage that he can do to someone when he gets mad. And you hear about his record, and how many revocations he has. And the best part is the story about, I'm at a friend's party and a girl sat next to me and she put her hand, next thing you know it, I'm driving to work and the police pull me over and I get arrested and they called and it's like, and he's like, honest to God, it's between me and her that we know the truth. She left the state after she filed the charges. I guess she didn't want anything to do with it. Or maybe she was terrified of you. That's also possible. Why did she leave the state? But it's such a ridiculous story. And he goes on, all they care about are prosecutions. So prosecutions and that's why they're going after me. And it's like, all they care about are prosecution percentages. You might be right about that, sir. But that's why they would have given you a plea deal, not why they would have chased after you. They don't like going after cases that they actually have to work hard for. Man. We see a lot of these cases and they are scary. They really are. And what we're going to do now is head over to Connecticut, and we're going to watch a case there that is similar to this in its scariness. So let's hop over to Mandu 2. If you're not familiar, yes, there are 2 Mandu channels. You might not be aware because you might just like get notifications and click it and not really. There are 2 separate channels. Primarily post, and moving forward we'll post, just Connecticut, Utah, Iowa, and why am I forgetting, Illinois hearings on Mandu channel 2. And sometimes we throw in a couple of Judge Boyd or some interesting hearings in the mix, and then try to keep Mandu 1 as Louisiana only. There was a period of time where I was putting other hearings in Mandu 1, and that's because we had a small month-long technical difficulty with Mandu 2. I don't need to worry you with all of that, but make sure you do subscribe. It's got half as many subscribers as Mandu 1 has, and I really think that's just because many of you don't realize that it's 2 separate channels. Thank you, Richard, for putting all this information together. Now let's hop on over and I'll see you on the other side. With that, I'll let you go.